Welcome back to the lab. Bit of a late start today, and the weather's been rubbish, and I've had some other things to do, which I've been running around doing, and haven't really achieved much. There is a very, very shiny speed bump, power bulge, thing, closing panel. There's a shiny one of those, which I spent far too much time on polishing it up so that I could perhaps use it to make a mold to do a carbon fibre version of that, because that might look fancier. But by the time I got that done, just excuse all this, we're dealing with this wiring stuff later on. It doesn't look bad, might stay like that maybe. Didn't hurt to have a little bit of shiny stuff every now and then, a little bit here and there. So that's that taken care of. Transmission tunnel, yeah, pretty much sorted, not 100%. I will put some sort of a rubber seal around our new old stock HGT sequential lever. Just, I forgot to mention in the previous two videos, that's not the current version of the lever, but it's kind of similar, right? So the actual lever from there up that's basically about the same, but the base is a bit different. So then the current ones, you can swap the lever from center position or left or right position, which takes care of everything that we were taking care of underneath here, is already taken into account with the new design. So what I've done here is just a poor man's workaround, for the lack of a better term. So that's fine. What we need to do over here is finish off that engine cover, which shouldn't take a heck of a lot. We do have to have some sort of a seal slash grommet slash something down here where the harness goes through there. But okay, crazy phone, you just do whatever you want to do. That's all good. Let's zoom back out, shall we? No? Alright, fine. We've got to do something with some screws all the way along this side up to here. We ran out of riv nuts. I've got some more today. I did that, and I'm going to take that panel there for the, it's very grainy when it's zoomed in like that, isn't it? Zoom back out, phone. No, it won't. Too bad. Everyone can put up with it for a laugh. I'll take that harness sealing box type thing off on this side, and we'll put just a flat blanking panel in, because it'll weigh less, it'll take less time, and it'll be easier to do, and it'll make it go faster, and reasons I can be lazier. That's one of the good reasons. Speaking of reasons, let's start with a fancy graphics department here. I have no idea what all these digits are for. Tomorrow I'll go, I need those. Let's wipe all this off. I've had a couple of people mentioning is that exciting? Is that good? It's like being a class, isn't it? Mentioning the gear position, the gear lever mechanism type thingy. So we've got a lever thingy here on a shaft, and we've got a lever thingy over here on a shaft. It's actually a fork, right? So it's got like that, and we want to put a rod end in here like that. The end's square, and we've got the rod, and the same deal over here. There's a rod end in here, and the rod comes out of here. This is an extreme version of what was going on, right? So, and that goes that way, that goes that way, that's fine. And some people suggested, instead of me putting packers and all that, so we put the rod end over here. It's actually probably pretty close to scale, except for the distance. And then I'll put a packer here with a longer bolt with the rod end there. Very close to scale, actually. And so we had just a tiny little bit of an angle there on the rod, but it's nothing significant. And some people suggested, more than one, so don't be thinking you're someone and I'm picking on you and being mean or anything like that. It's nothing like that going on. It's just I'm letting you know why not, why we didn't do this. People suggested we could dogleg the rod. And you could. Why don't we draw it? We might as well. Let's draw it closer to scale, because it's not going to be hard. It was about 210 or something in between them, so the other one would have been here somewhere. Rod end inside the fork. It's fine, and so we could have had a dog leg on that. This one gets a bit fatter in the middle, don't worry about that. The reason why you don't do that, you could do on some systems. Not a good idea on this sort of system because someone, big fat hands, actually the other hand, but that'll do, banging away on a gear lever, giving it heaps of force to make it change gears quickly and all that stuff. An appropriate amount of force before someone says too much force will damage it. The reason why you don't want it offset like that is when you push this way, the laws of physics, because that's on an angle, that is going to force that way, and it's going to force that one that way. It's going to give you axial loading. And I can probably even give you a real simple demonstration of that. Got some random stuff, whatever, this will do. If I push this straight ahead, the other one goes that way, right? And that's not me just trying to make it do that, just to make up some crazy ass story and then make it happen by pushing it funny directions. Axial loading, it's pushing it out to the side. Whereas if you have it straight, you'll be able to push that forever. Apart from the fact that it's actually got a slight taper on the end. So our bearings and everything inside the gearbox, that's the critical one. Shift lever, I'm not worried about that too much. That'll be okay. Shouldn't suffer too much damage from it. Bearings inside the end of the gearbox and the splined lever that's on the shaft going into the gearbox, if you're pushing that sideways, it's not really designed to be pushed along its axes. That's not what should be happening. There'll be some sort of, I'm guessing, I haven't taken the gearbox apart, I haven't looked at one in pieces, there'll be some sort of a circlip and all that sort of carry on inside there to hold that all together. And it's not ideal, right? So anything like that, any sort of gearbox that is operating and you're providing axial thrust, if it doesn't have thrust bearings on it, you're going to wear out whatever surfaces are touching. That's what happens with your engine. When you start your engine with your foot on the clutch pedal all the time, you wear out your thrust washers on your crankshaft, on your engine. So that's why I didn't want to dogleg the rod in between the levers, because they're axial loading. And a super fancy graphics system. If you've got a rod like that with bends in it like that and you apply a decent amount of force here, this rod is going to bend here and it's going to bend here. It just will. Unless it's really, really huge, big, massive, overly strong rod, it will have some flex in it. Now, if you've got a big long lever on the end of here and you've got a load cell on that and you want to be measuring very accurately to set everything up properly, how much force is on here at a given point to know when this is moving at this end and it's shifting, but you've got a rod in between that's all bendy and boingy, that makes things difficult. On top of that, when this bends, this will move this way and that one will move that way, and you can get binding inside the forks. And the other thing, aluminium work hardens and eventually crack and you won't have a gear shifter anymore and bad times will be had. So there you go, there's two reasons, the primary reasons, and it just looks wrong, right? So there's three reasons. That's why that wasn't done. Okay, all right, so the clock on the wall says 3 o'clock and it's absolutely is lying. It's probably 4:30. I've already marked where I don't want to put some securing hardware, some fasteners or whatever we want to call them. I don't want them in this area here because I want this panel to come out and be able to put it back in easily. If we put a riv nut into it, that's not going to be easy to take it off and put it back on. Through it, I mean, clamping the two panels together. So I'm going to now take that off. Take that off, put the rest of the holes in it. Let's put all the riv nuts in here. I think the plan should be, because I want to be able to do it easily, take this off, put riv nuts in either here or in the firewall so that I can just unscrew it and screw on the panel instead and make it easy so that we can swap it backwards and forwards without too much drama. You still have to tape it all up with our aluminium foil tape to seal it. But yeah, I want it semi, what's the word, modular. I don't want it so I have to undo rivets every time. It's not ideal. I know, I changed my mind again. I said I was going to do riv nuts and everything. We're actually running out of time. And I don't think that panel's going to come out of this car anytime soon anyway, given the current situation. So, that'll do. That's sufficient. I put a couple of folds on there to give it some strength, so that firewall's actually nice and strong in that general area now. It does need a tiny trim just here. I need to get rid of those black lines on there as well, and I'll need to put some tape to seal things up as per the rest. But it's pouring down with rain. It's well after 5 o'clock. It's time to go inside. Cheers for watching. Bye. Definitely looks bling, doesn't it? Bling, bling.